Okay, good morning, everybody at home and on the station. Today, we're going to work with the concept of being in one muscular body. Instead of 600 individual muscles, we're going to think of being in a muscular sheath connected by fascial connections. And as we affect one place, hands, feet, shoulders, we're going to see how that affects the entire system. Here we go. Go ahead and stand up. We're still going to work on these deeper muscles all the way out. So place your feet on the floor, close your eyes for a moment. Check in with your own weight distribution. How's your balance between one side and the other? While your eyes are still closed, check in with your breathing. Take a couple deep breaths and just notice, where is the breath moving in your torso right now? Without influencing or changing it, can you just witness what's happening? Now, knowing that our breath is the link between our central nervous system and our bodies, how do we begin to influence that? So if you're feeling anxious, or if you notice there's tightness, or if one side of your rib cage is more contracted than the other, how do we begin to take over that system and allow a slower, deeper, more full breath that fills into the whole space in the torso, like as if there was a belt around this place in your ribs, so that you get to know what's happening in your body more fully. You begin to take some ownership of how your central nervous system is reacting. If there's some anxiety, if there's some just maybe it's too slow, maybe you need a little bit more fire. How do you begin to shift what's happening? By just messing with the breath, paying attention to the breath, staying right here in the moment. Okay, feet on the floor, let's go to toes first. Take one step forward, bend your knees into that short foot position, lift and press your toes down into the ground. So as you go into that short foot and you think of this whole entire muscular system, maybe you can even close your eyes. That will change your balance quite a bit, but can you lift and press your toes down into the floor, feeling that activation of the bottom of the foot, and notice what else that's affecting of the change? Can you bring it into the calf? Can you feel it in the hamstring? Maybe the lateral hip. Maybe it lets go of this other ankle a little bit as you can bend more deeply into that back ankle. Good, now let's see what happens when we change the position of the upper body. So take a full deep breath, still lift and press your toes, pull your arms, so I'm interlacing my fingers like this, pull your arms apart so that muscles behind your shoulder blade are activating. And then tell me, what did that change in your body in this whole sheath? Can you bend more deeply? Did it change the front leg feeling? Come on up, switch. First, just go into it, feel it. I'm a little stiff this morning. Notice what's happening in your body. Lift your toes and press your toes down. Lift, press. Hang in there, keep going. Okay, then flip your hands, interlace them, pull your arms apart, Take a deep breath. And then feel as you pull your arms apart, find the muscles on the back side of your shoulders. What happens? And release. First side again. Bend down. Did that change some of the stiffness? Are you starting to get some lubrication in the joints as we move this muscular system around? Then arms apart, deep breath, lift and press your toes down. Now keep your toes down, squinch your foot like you're making your foot shorter, trying to lift the arch of your foot up. Almost like you're pushing your tibia, the main bone in the, main weight-bearing bone in the lower leg. When you squinch the bottom of your foot up, go through all those little bones in your ankle and try to push your tibia up into your knee. And then see how that changes the knee. Good. Switch. First, lift and press your toes. And then leave your toes down. Squinch your foot. So make the bottom of the foot shorter. Push the tibia up into the knee. Breathe. And release. Good. Feet hip bone distance apart. Hold your fingers into the golfer's grip. Pull on that. So what happens to this entire muscular system as we pull on your fingers? And then straighten them back out. Pull them in to touch the palm. Straighten them out. Spread them wide. Good. Close your eyes and do that a few times. What do you notice? Can you pull on enough muscles down the forearm that it affects things up into the shoulder? Good. Now take the wrist. So I have short fingers. I'm going to pull my wrists up as far as they'll go, almost like you're pushing the arm bones up into the shoulder in the same way that we shortened the arch. Under and up, out. Find different angles. How stable is the shoulder as you do that? I just watched my right shoulder really move. If you have maybe a labral tear or a rotator cuff tear, something that lets that arm bone be a little less stable in the socket, does that change? Can you get it into a better position to have a more precise motion in the joint just by playing with your hands? Good. Fingers spread, hands into fists. All through the forearm. Excellent. Pigeon toe your feet. So now we're going to connect the shoulders all the way to the pelvis. So bring your arms up. Same golfer's grip. Fingers curled in. Pigeon-toed feet. And then feel what's happening at your hips. Do you have one that turns and one that doesn't? It makes you feel crooked like that? Or does it feel like there's a fairly even position there in the hips? Press your big toes down. Then turn your arm bones outward. So thumbs pointing out to the side. Hold it up there. Relax your belly. Nice. So we have activation of this entire system coming from the feet up into the pelvis and from your hands into the shoulders. And then you're breathing is the link between the two. Exhale the air completely. Inhale fully. Exhale completely. Can you squeeze your rib cage? Squeeze it down. Good. Arms out to a Y shape. Same thing. Full breath. Press your legs straight. All the way straight. See if you can tighten up your thigh muscles. Can you even move your pelvis a little bit over the leg bones in that position? Do a few pelvic tilts there. See how it works. Is that possible? Is there pain in your back when you do it? Does it feel okay? Find it, let it get to a neutral position. Good, arms straight out from your shoulders. Again, rotate them back. Elbows super strong and straight. Fingers still curled in. A few deep breaths. Exhale completely, rib cage squeezed. Inhale. Fully expand, exhale. This is one of the exercises in the tendinitis, elbow tendinitis section, tennis elbow, stuff like that. Can we link the pelvis and the shoulders through the rib cage and get that whole body working as a unit? Can you put weight more on your big toes again? Really allow that leg bone to turn in. Maybe even here, see if you can do a couple pelvic tilts again. Does your pelvis move over the top of the femur in this position? And release. Nice. Feet pointed straight ahead, up onto your toes. Go all the way up. Do the first few slowly. Imagine that you have muscles hugging to bone so that you're working on the stiffness of your muscles. If some of us have ligaments or tendons or joints that are too loose, then is there a stiffness that needs to be recreated to allow for better alignment to happen? So not just increasing mobility, but increasing tension and stiffness in some places so that other places move more correctly. One of the ways we can play with that is timing. So I want you to go a little faster and think of that creation of stiffness through the ankle while you pulse there. How does the whole ankle hug in towards each other so that all the bones around the ankle, maybe even up into the knee, are working on that stiffness? Awesome. Good. Tuck one foot under, point your toes as much as you can. Feel the arch hug up into the foot and set it down, bend into it, flip it over, go back and forth a couple of times. So now we're pulling on this fascial sheath that we're in at the top. Some of us have tightness maybe in the top of the ankle, top of the foot. It's also unilateral, right? We're doing one side differently than the other. Second side. Curl the toes. Yep, hug the arch up into the foot. This is that place, if your arch is dropped, how well can the rest of the system be well aligned if the arch is collapsed? What does the tibia do? How does it react in the knee? What happens up into the hip? What changes occur if the foundation is already a little crooked? Good, both knees, let them bend over your toes. So imagine, just pretend you have to stand up out of a chair. We generally take our legs underneath back a little bit. so that when you're standing up from your seat, you need a fair amount of knees over toes flexion to stand up. Good. Feel your whole body. Where does the muscle sheath slide and glide as you go into that little squat, letting your knees go over your toes. You can even go knees over toes and lean back a little bit. Play with that flexion, maybe one side and then the other. Good. Standing foot circles. So now really root down into that leg. See if you can bring this leg up without much else moving. Hold underneath your knee. Good. Engage that stiffness all around your body to hold stability in the butt, in the shoulders, behind your back, in your ankle, and then circle 10 times all the way around. Reverse. Point and flex. Switch sides. How's this side work for stabilizing as you lift this up? And then hold it up there. Find that stiffness also in the ankle, in the hip. Circle 10 times. Reverse. Point and flex. And release. Go back to that little bounce. So we just moved mobility into the ankle, changed the hip mechanics, shifted one leg in flexion, one leg in extension. Now just hug it all in again. Good. Go up onto your toes. Feel your feet really press into the floor. Keep that position on your toes. Hug that ankle in, squeeze it in, build some endurance into that ankle position. Bring your arms out in front of you, sit down into a squat. And you decide how far your body wants to go today. Feel the quads start to work. Calves, hamstrings. Can you pull your legs backward and even feel your butt muscles turn on there? And then use your glutes to help press back up to standing. Those are big muscles on the back side of your body. You want to have help. Let's take that sphere of tension. We'll borrow from foundation training. Fingers touching down. Find your glutes. Where's your jet pack on the back? Press it up. Good. Stiffness in the ankles. Again, sphere of tension, using your whole body, creating some stiffness in certain places, adding tension to the machine so that precise motion can happen through the joints. Good. Jet pack. 600 muscles, a few more, working together in a system in different compartments connected by a fascial system that works for you. Release. Awesome. Down into a kneeling position. Grab your block. So as we come to kneeling, you have two muscles that cross your hip and your knee. And as you come into a kneeling position, we're lengthening the muscles that cross the hip and the knee. It forces the body to stabilize really differently. And then if they're tight, if those particular muscles are over tight, we might see this big anterior tip in the pelvis. So just notice where you're at. We're going to put the block between your ankles and pull on some muscles on the back side of the body. So in this sheath that you're wearing, the tension is going to be toward the back. And let's see if there's a leg bone adjustment that needs to happen or a pelvic adjustment that needs to happen. Let's take that sphere of tension again. So create tension in the hands, arches of the hand and the middle of the hand. Push them together, almost like you're pushing your hands together and pulling your arms apart. There's a lift or a activation on the underside of the armpit. So that gets strong, the shoulder stays in good alignment. And then press the feet into the block. Squeeze and release. And as you tug on that gluteal tension, deep six and glutes, how does that turn the femur and change the relationship to the back and front side of this fascial suit that we're in? Do you have an even contraction on the two sides? Is there balance? What's happening with your breathing? Keep going, press, release, hold it long enough that you feel the two sides balance. And release. Come down onto your belly. Keep the block at your feet, fold your hands underneath your forehead, and then curl that block up. Totally let your shoulders relax. So just bringing your arms up and letting your shoulders come into this position makes the shoulder blade have to rotate. Relax your head and then press your feet into the block. You can take your knees slightly wider than your hips if you want to just add a little bit of an advantage. Press and release. Press, release. And then release, roll onto your back. Feet on the floor. Just allow your body to come down to the floor and check in with your breathing again. Without influencing your breath first, just notice what it's doing as you move onto your back with your knees bent. Where are your shoulder blades? How even does your body feel as you come down onto the ground? What does your low back naturally do? Does it arch off the floor or does it go pretty flat? And just check in. Where is there tension in some places? And where is there a release? How can you bring more of a correct alignment into the space? So let's pull on the front part of your body for a moment by working your feet all the way up on your toes. It's a little bit backside and front side, but that dynamic tension, the tension between the front and the back, we're gonna pull on with your feet. So posterior chain, as you go up, let the arches of your feet have that cramp. That's accessing that whole back line of muscles. And then as you go up, anterior tibialis, front of the foot, top of the foot, front line of muscles, maybe hip flexors even. And back and forth. Good, now find your butt muscles. Squeeze and release your glutes. Squeeze, release. Do about 20 of those. Relax your belly. Find that backside. Access the backside muscles. Breathe. Exhale fully, all the air out of your lungs. Inhale. All right, let's find those obliques. Let your knees roll all the way over to the left. And then let your upper body begin to rotate back up toward the ceiling. And just find slowly where that tension, that cross body tension, how that can work. And then bring your hands behind your head, lift your upper body straight up toward the ceiling and lower. Lift and lower. Point your toes. Make that system all the way from the bottom of your feet up into your hips, into your torso work. And just notice if this is okay for you to be in this big of a rotation. Now, turn your body so that your shoulders and your hips are lining up again, and then just reach that way. So you're curling your rib cage towards your hip, that way, pulling on this side tension, but not in a twist. So now it's just a reach, yeah, short, oblique, not in a twist in your spine. Untwist yourself, Lenny, first. So go shoulders and hips in line.
Like your upper spinal cord.
Yeah, like you're getting ready for an upper spinal cord twist. There you go. And then lift. And then let your head, so even these side muscles in your neck, let them work. What does the neck muscle do to that tension all the way through the side body? And then release your neck all the way down. Good, pick your head up, neck contraction, side body contraction, expansion. Couple more, neck, lift, release. One more. And roll to the other side. Go into your twist. So come into that position. Allow the rotation to happen. Point your toes. Then, if it feels okay to you, lift and lower. Then untwist again. And then start at your head, lift your head and neck, lift the side body, contract the ribs to the hips, and release. Head, neck, side, release. Onto your back, pelvic tilts, flatten and arch. Make the whole thing work together. Into a hip crossover stretch, arms out to the side, palms down, cross the right ankle over the left knee, and just open up that hip to start. So what happens when we pull on this fascial suit into this external femur rotation and then twist? Turn your head. Where is there tension and where is there opening in the system? Squeeze your neck muscles. Add tension to there. Put your fingers down on the floor. Add tension to your hands. Add stiffness around your arms up into your shoulders. And see if that stiffness there can help release the hip. Breathe. Release and come up. Switch sides. Left ankle over the right knee. Open that hip, just see where that side is. And then take it all the way down toward the floor. Turn your head, squeeze your neck. Press your hands down, add tension to the system up high. And then see what that does to help open that hip. Does it change it? Add the breath. Come on up. Both feet on the floor. Flatten and arch. Awesome. Onto your hands and knees. Add tension to your hands. Really work your hands as you grip the floor. Strong arms. And then hand leg opposite lift. Let's go fist and push your heel back, flex your foot. Bring the knee down. Skim the floor, hand down, back up 8 times. Switch. Cats and dogs. And a downward dog to tie it all together. Hands strong on the floor, up into the shoulders. Your choice if you need your knees to be bent or your legs to be straight. The ankles are pretty flexed here, knees kind of going over toes, up into the hips, hips Also into flexion. Ribs in line with shoulders. Shoulders in line with hands. Hands and feet strong. Come all the way up. Let's add a little more stiffness to the system. So I want you to go up on your toes. Do some little jumps. So stiffen everything. Hips stiff. Shoulders stiff. Hands stiff. Feet stiff. Ankles stiff. Feel the whole system come back into that little bit of contraction to hold you stable. Good, and then just feel it. Feel your feet, check your balance. Feel your breathing. Nice work today. Go ahead and come into lying down or seated, whatever you'd like for your meditation. Okay. Just notice your physical body and where it's connected to the floor. In your seat or head, shoulders, hips, ankles. Notice your breathing. And then begin to notice what's playing on the space that exists. Do you have a program running in your head about what's happening today or what happened before? Just see if you can have some awareness of whatever's arising for you right now. The first thing that we need to do to influence the programs that are running is to just be aware of what they are. Can we bring what's happening subconsciously into conscious awareness? In your system. And once you notice it, can you shift the awareness of that program into the background so that it's not what has your full attention? We may not ever be able to stop some of the programs, but we can give our attention to this other space. Now, if you can perceive the program that's running, or thoughts that are showing up, or your breathing, or your physical body sensation on the ground, what is that that's perceiving it? What's the part of you that feels it, sees it, hears it, knows it? Can you give your attention to attention itself? Or can you even turn attention on itself? Like, where's the spot? Is it somewhere in your head that knows where the thinking is coming from? Or if you open your eyes, where's the subject and object? And can you turn your attention to the place that you think your vision is even coming from? How do you turn attention on itself? If you've noticed that you got taken into a thought, come back to your breathing. Notice for a moment if you have a future fear that's playing on your present moment awareness. And how do you come back to right now? And notice that that's not part of this moment. Once again, let it shift to the background and be right here. Take a final breath. Remember that if we notice the programs that are playing, we have this 1 minute or second to perceive it and then to choose Do you want to let the flood of hormones, emotions, fears, shifts, changes that arise affect your present moment? Or do you want to notice that they're happening, let them shift into the background, and choose something more consciously? Not always easy. That's the practice. See if you can do that today. When you get into a situation that might feel challenging in relationship to someone else or yourself, or who knows, could be driving in the car and something happens. Can you witness what's happening in the moment in your system? Take the moment, pause, shift, choice. What's your reaction? Okay, come on out of that.